At the end of the week in the Americas, or at the very beginning of next week in the rest of the world, we have a massively important celestial event set to take place, and that is Saturn changing signs, moving into the sign of Aries for just a short stay. This isn't going to be a long time, but it is this dipping into this brand new part of the sky, moving out of the last sign of the zodiac and into the first sign of the zodiac. Well, it is set to feel like a brand new beginning. Now, ultimately, Saturn always invites us to consider how you alone are responsible for your own happiness, to identify what you can do, to focus in on that, and let go of the rest. It is this notion that when we do certain things, we earn our own self respect. And a lot of us are at the beginning of a journey now that has to do with doing the thing that allows you to feel more in touch with your power and your truth, some sense of who you really are, even when it's hard, and especially when it's hard acting from a place of taking ownership for our free will, whatever the extent or limitations of it we might judge it to be. Well, that is the pathway towards real growth and ultimately tangible manifestation. Now we get a bit of a glimpse into this energy that we'll dive into much more fully next year. But now is what matters, because now we get to see if we like the way in which the energy is going. And if we don't, we can recalibrate. But if we do, at least we know that we want to do even more of what it is that's going to get us to manifesting a life more fully that we love that much more. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of May 18, 2025. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. A massive thank you to this week's sponsor, Otter Spirit. Learn a whole lot more about their work, mission, and get yourself a bracelet over on their website, link below. And don't forget to use code Nadiya20 at checkout for a discount. And consultations are available with me and Andy of Wise As Astrology over on my website, nadiyashaw.com. Links below. From May 25th to August 31st, Saturn will dip into the sign of Aries. And it is this very first taste we get that we'll dive into that much more fully once we get into the new year, just in time for Valentine's Day of 2026 for a nice long stay of over 2 years to come. I'll be here to talk about it every step of the way, of course, but understand when a big planet like Saturn changes signs, we feel it that much more. And Saturn is one of those planets that we call a social planet, meaning it's not an outer planet like we find with Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, though I know I've been talking to you about those big moves as of late as well. But it isn't a personal planet either, like we find with Venus and Mercury, or even the moon, which move rather quickly and can be different depending on your birth chart from people within your own sign. However, it tends to be the case that people born right around the same time within a 2 to 3 year bracket may share a Saturn sign. And so this connects you to a particular cohort, a social group, if you will. Saturn is sometimes conceptualized as the taskmaster, right? That brings karma, that brings restriction. But really, what Saturn invites us to embrace is responsibility, even when it's hard. But to also understand that we are only responsible for so much. Sometimes the greatest rewards come based on what we've shown ourselves is worth sacrificing for. And anything worth having is worth working for. That's what Saturn wants us to understand, because it isn't so much about the having. It isn't so much about the good things showing up. It's about walking a path that allows us to become a person that might show up for just in time whatever success or manifestation whose time has come, because we've put in the time and we've put in the effort and we've put in the work. Saturn in Aries does invite a brand new chapter and a brand new beginning. It invites us to consider where it is we're ready to see what we're actually responsible for and what we aren't, with brand new eyes and with a fresh perspective. Whereas Saturn moving through Pisces, that's the last sign in the zodiac. That invites us to bring important chapters to a close. In at least one area of life, all of us had to be very mindful of that fine line between surrender and responsibility. Well, now here we are, and it is still that sense of a fine line, but it's different because the emphasis with Pisces is on the acceptance, whereas the emphasis with Aries is on the power or empowerment. It is on understanding how risky but also exciting it can be to take ownership for our free will, to lead with it at the forefront of what it is that we might want to move towards through our own diligent effort. I always think of Saturn helping us to understand that our happiness is our own responsibility, but it also helps us to understand where it is that perhaps we could be doing more and where it is we've done enough. Where it is we've gone as far as we're meant to on a certain pathway, we've sacrificed enough, and where it is perhaps certain pathways just aren't meant to go further. That getting honest with ourselves can be hard, even and especially if we've invested so much in a particular outcome that we were hoping for. But it can also be something that liberates us. Saturn is the ancient ruling planet of Aquarius. It is a sign that is often conceptualized as one that represents authenticity and rebellion. But there's something else here, and that is if it's not Saturn, right? Let's say it's Jupiter or it's Neptune. Neptune recently in the sign of Aries as well. If it's just Neptune or Jupiter, well, those are very dreamy energies. They're very hopeful energies. And that's why I say, when Jupiter changes signs, I invite you as friends, fans, superstars, I guide you towards understanding that you've got to take action in order to have it count for something, because Jupiter can be so much about faith. But it is by acting from that place of faith that we're able to make that many more gains, especially with Jupiter. We've got enough blessings to lead us forward, but we've also got a sense of actually putting effort behind it so that we're co-creating with the universe. Well, with Saturn, it can feel a lot more like we alone are responsible for whatever it is that we might manifest, for better or worse. But more than that, because Saturn is moving into Aries and mighty close to Neptune, which is going to be a key characteristic, especially over the course of much of the summer, as these two planets get mighty close but don't meet with precision to the minute, at least not just yet, at least not until we get into next year, but it comes quite close. And so Saturn and Neptune, they actually help each other. It's like they need each other. Neptune is the dream, it is the hope, it is the wish, but we can stay so much in fantasy with Neptune. But it is Saturn that helps us to follow the dream up with action so we're able to manifest the dream that much more. But we've been, in some ways, in a time of dreams. I mean, think about the fact that since 2012, we've had Neptune in the sign of Pisces. It has been since the first part of 2023 that we've had Saturn in the sign of Pisces. And those energies in and of themselves, they don't lend themselves very well towards actually manifesting, simply because they're in that water sign, the last sign of Pisces. But having these energies in Aries, well, it helps us to take ownership. It helps us to feel that much more excited, the thrill of having an idea, having a dream, and backing it up with action. The sense of childlike wonder and excitement for pursuing something that matters to us, but also for believing it's possible, that in and of itself can make it so. But remember, if it's just a dream and it stays in the realm of dreams, it only goes so far. But a part of the law of the universe, one of the many laws of the universe, is that very often As much as you give is as much as you get. And sometimes we do get so much that it feels like wild luck. But the things that we get that have the potential to last, that seem to be the sweetest, most meaningful to us, that have the promise of lasting gains, well, we participate in their unfolding. We're listening to the universe and we're backing up what we believe with action. But it isn't just that. With Saturn, sometimes the lesson is acceptance that our own vision might be limited. What it is that we're asking of the universe, sometimes we don't realize it, but it's actually a much smaller vision than what the universe has planned for us. And we think we're making this huge ask, but that might not be the case at all from the perspective of the universe. It's actually quite small. And because this is energy of beginnings, fresh start, brand new, exciting chapters, well, a part of the invitation is going to be to allow ourselves to glimpse what a higher, more loving vision for our life might be, and how that actually might be the pathway towards which we might find a type of childlike happiness and wonder and enthusiasm and excitement for our lives and all it is that we have yet to do in this lifetime. Now, while Saturn changing signs is by far the most important celestial event to take place this week, the sun is a very active principle at this time, and I think this is going to end up helping us and working to our advantage that much more, because the sun represents our will as well. It represents a sense of knowing ourselves to our core and being willing to shine our light, knowing that when we illuminate ourselves and allow ourselves to be seen, well, all kinds of cosmic forces have a way of coming together to help our pathway forward. But really, when we harness the energy of the sun, we shine. And by shining, we're able to attract that many more good things towards us. And boy, is the sun so active with beautiful alignments now. It is going to be on Tuesday that the sun will connect with Saturn. Now, this is just before both planets are changing signs. So it is at the very end of their respective signs that this beautiful, encouraging alignment is set to take place. Now, this is the type of alignment that astrologers call a sextile. And it's not as fortunate as a trine. Trines are blessings that can feel like dumb luck at times, can feel like there's such easy energy and it just comes together for us. But it is an energy of opportunity, or at least identifying what we can do to cultivate more opportunities for ourselves. And that's part of this energy. There's a desire and understanding that we are worthy of manifesting better. So what actions can we take in a real practical way to help us to feel like we're moving forward in a direction that helps us to feel like we shine brighter, or at the very least feel lighter? That's going to be part of the insights and perhaps practical opportunity that shows up for us now. It is going to be the following day that the sun changes signs. Here we are, the sun changes signs, and we start Gemini season. So happy birthday to all the Geminis out there. This is super exciting. Now, whenever it is that the sun moves into anyone's sign, it brings with it a lightness of being, and it illuminates who it is you really are, what it is you really want, what your priorities really are. For the collective, having the sun move into Gemini brings with it a season of a lot more communication, conversation, connections with others. This is where we start moving into the later part of spring in the northern hemisphere. And so there's a sense that we are making adjustments, knowing that a bigger change is coming. A month later, we're going to have the first day of summer in the northern hemisphere. But for now, there is this sense of possibility, but also a sense of being willing to connect with others that much more readily and easily. People tend to want to socialize more right around this time. It starts to feel that much warmer. And it feels as if by having those random interactions and connections with others, well, it doesn't feel as fraught with consequence. It has a way of feeling like those connections can flow with less expectation of what must be, and what has to be now. On Thursday, the sun connects in harmony with Neptune and then ends the week speaking in supreme harmony with Pluto. Now, actually, that connection between the sun speaking in supreme harmony with Pluto, that's actually one of my most favorite vibrations because it represents an ability to really focus in on what it is we're actually wanting. And to display confidence is a big part of what the sun represents. Well, with Pluto, we're able to really understand how to make that happen and come together. And we're able to find ways of bragging about ourselves, well, in a way that actually has the intended effect. The fact that Neptune is in the mix there, well, that is about faith. Faith in ourselves, that our own efforts are going to be enough, that we alone are enough, that shining our light is more than enough to help us to move in the directions we desire to go, to help us to make the kind of impression we're hoping for that we think can help us to align with greater things to come. On Thursday, we have a beautiful energy playing out that I think a lot of us are going to feel has been a long time coming, and that is Venus speaking in supreme harmony with Mars. These two are sometimes called cosmic lovers, quote unquote. Yeah, I guess so. They are. I mean, we see lots of mythologies around how irresistible these two are to each other. And when it is that these two speak in supreme harmony, it tends to represent a pretty sexy vibe, right? Lots of us are feeling that much more like we can connect with others and we feel more likely to indulge our more romantic side. But there's another reason that this energy is so special, and that is that we are now done with the recent retrograde seasons of both of these planets. Last week, Venus left shadow. At the very beginning of the week before, it was Mars that left shadow. And so now here we are, both planets in brand new pathways on brand new territory, done with their larger cycles that were months in the making. And now they connect in this beautiful alignment. And I think this is going to help us to make sense of the last few months for a lot of us out there. But more than that, it's about understanding how these two planets connect us to joy and possibility and excitement. It is Mars that is moving through the sign of Leo. This is all about what the heart wants. It's a super flirtatious energy. It's also very confident energy. Venus is in the sign of Aries, which is very much about love at first sight, lust that we think is love. It's that kind of vibration we have here. And so there's this strong sense of motivation to connect with others and to feel the type of aliveness that desire can sometimes help us to facilitate. Regardless, though, there is a real sense here of wanting to trust our hearts, wanting to trust our passions, to see where it is that it might take us. And for a lot of us, I think we will be getting our flirt on. We'll be that much more confident, that much more excitement about new people or having our established connections. Well, we want to fortify them so that we keep that heart level connection going strong. Now, finally, Mercury. Let's talk about Mercury because we start the week with Mercury speaking in a conversation of tension with Mars. And we end the week with Mercury meeting Uranus in the sky. We ended last week with the sun meeting Uranus, right? And that makes for the most surprising day of the year, sometimes the most shocking day of the year. Well, now here we are. And we have these energies that in some way are mirroring the pathway of the recent movements of the sun. And so this is about thinking it through more. Whereas just solar energy was about shining and insight and development, now we're making sense on an intellectual level. We're finding an understanding as we work through certain nuances. But still, there is energy here that, especially at the end of the week, might feel like a surprise a minute or a shock a minute, but it is likely to be rooted in the information coming at us, documents we're receiving, messages that we're getting, mail coming through. But this can also be correlated to our own thought processes, seeing something really differently that might have been staring at us all this time. Whereas at the end of last week, that energy of the sun and Uranus, it's very oriented towards the self. It's about what we are understanding. the breakthroughs that we might be having. But now it's about the actual conversations and the interactions with others. Now, because Mercury represents what we're talking about collectively, as we start the week, there might be real frustrations being discussed, real tensions. As we get to the end of the week, just know that this could be, it's almost like collectively what we didn't know, all of a sudden, it all comes out, or it all looks really different, or all of a sudden what we thought was so sure and so secure really isn't. And based on new information that just pops up, it can feel like a lot of what we thought was the way it was, it just turns on its head. Now, some of this might relate to matters of money, matters of the economy, matters of financing, because it is this meeting that is happening in the energy of Taurus, which has to do with all these things, how we earn money, how we spend money, and it has to do with the economy itself. So stay open to possibility. I think one of the higher lessons here is to help us to understand what role and how our own relationship to prosperity is going to be seen by us individually. How will we define prosperity? And what are the ways in which that practical matters, though important, if we just step to the side for just a brief second, are we able to recognize the ways in which our life might be prosperous right now? Because if we can see things just a little bit differently and in a little bit of a different way, well, it might be that we're able to then open ourselves to real practical gains that much more readily. What I love about this week for us, there's so much here. It's a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. It's got to be Saturn changing signs. I know it's just a bit of a taste as we move through the summer, but it is a powerful sense of what we're beginning, but also what we desire to manifest. Pay attention to how this energy is coming forward, because it's going to help us to ascertain if we like what it is that we're manifesting. And if we need to change course or make adjustments, we're going to get a chance to do that, especially once it is that Saturn retrogrades back into the sign of Pisces as we move into the last weeks of the summer. Now, having said that, there is going to be a Saturn special horoscope. Be on the lookout for that. I'm doing my darndest to get it done this week. Please send good vibes so that it gets done. But for all that, this is also going to be what I talk about in the short horoscopes coming up in a moment. So stay tuned for that. But for all of that, just know when Saturn changes signs, it is ultimately an invitation to cultivate meaningful self-respect in new ways. We can sit in fear of the planetary movements, or we can see them as a partnership that ultimately is an invitation to walk a path of greater love and greater wisdom. And that's what the planets really are. They're an invitation to love and to know love more deeply, Saturn included. Saturn says it's one thing to believe, to hope, to wish, someone saying something to you and you want to have faith, and that's a wonderful thing. But it's another thing to actually look at the reality of a situation. It's another thing to be honest with yourself about what you're manifesting. And it's also a whole other thing to be honest about how happy you actually are or are not, and what has to change in a real way to align you with happiness that lasts, that feels like it reaches to your core. These are going to be guiding questions, and where we find this sense of self, this sense of truth, this sense of happiness that we can actually work towards aligning with, well, it's about to change. That energy is going to be directed in a whole new area of life for all of us out there. But ultimately, this also gives us real steps we can take to move our lives positively forward. Thank you for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys, and to prove it to you, here are some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up. All of it means so much. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you. You really help the video. You help the algorithm. I love you for it. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. where you get expanded exclusive video scopes each and every week for as low as just $3 a month with choose your membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com or thefutureismagical.com, links below. Consultations are now available with me and Andy of Wise Ass Astrology over on my website, NadiyaShah.com/consultations. The link is below. It's a totally wonderful automated process now. I think you'll absolutely love it. You just go to the consultation page and there you'll be able to see my calendar or you'll be able to see Andy's calendar. And once it is that you decide on the right time slot for you, you select it, you are forwarded to a form. You let us know exactly what it is that you'd like us to know in advance, and then you're forwarded to your payment. After that, you are automatically sent a Zoom link that shows you exactly when it is that your consultation is set to be. And I know for me, that Zoom link, Zoom invitation, it shows up automatically into my phone. It shows up in my calendar right away. And I've had such a wonderful time meeting such absolutely incredible people. Thank you. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for reaching out and booking a reading with me. Of course, whether you choose me or Andy of Wise Ass Astrology, there's a variety of price points there. And it also is when you select a reading with one of us that, of course, you get insights into whatever it is that you are asking about, whether it's a relationship or yourself or self-knowledge or career. It really is your time and you get to decide how it is that you want to use it. However that is, I know for me, I hold that space in reverence. It has meant so much to me to have your trust, and I thank you with all my heart. So again, you can head on over to my website, NadiyaShah.com, and you can book a reading now with me or Andy of Wise Ass Astrology. Links below. A big burst of gratitude to Otter Spirit for partnering with me once again. Look at that. Look at these bracelets. I love them. Their stones are such amazing quality, and I'm so grateful for this beautiful package that they sent me. Now, last time, you might remember, because it was a while back, that they sponsored me and I did the Aquarius pack. This time I did the Sagittarius pack for my Sagittarius moon. And boy, do I ever love their stones. They're just so beautiful. And you know, a donation from every single purchase you make, well, it goes to help otters. So you can learn more about their mission, about what they do and the quality of their stones and so much more by heading on over to their website. That link is below. And of course, use my code at checkout for a discount. That's going to be amazing. Nadiya20 gets you 20% off. That's amazing. So again, those links are below. Check out my sponsor. Thank you to them for sponsoring, and thank you to them for these amazing bracelets. I absolutely love them. I have some amazing events coming up. I hope that you will join me. One is happening at the world-renowned Omega Institute, and it is at the Omega Institute that I will be joining Maurice Fernandez. And look at these amazing renowned astrologer, Anne Artili, Lynn Bell, Hannah Tanawara. Wow, I just feel so privileged to be part of this amazing group of astrologers, and we are going to have an incredible weekend of the Great Shift. We're going to be exploring the symbolism of the goddess in astrology, and each one of these astrologers brings their own unique perspective to this exploration. I hope you'll join us. This is in Rhinebeck, New York State, in upstate New York, and this is the kind of event that is meant to make an impact. Now, I will say, years ago, literally 21 years ago, I attended the Omega Institute for a weekend of a retreat. And I will tell you, it was a very powerful, life-changing experience. Just those couple of nights there ended up meaning so much to me, because you really are immersed in a space where some of the greatest spiritual teachers alive come to teach. and hold workshops and hold classes. And this is one of the few rare astrology events that happens at the Omega Institute as well. So there's one part of it where I just feel so grateful to have this opportunity. But the other part of this, the other layer of this, of course, is what it is that it will facilitate in you and others out there. You can learn a lot more about this amazing experience that Maurice Fernandez has put together at the world-renowned Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York, the first weekend of October. This is the time to sign up now, to reserve your spot, to get early bird discounts and all of that. So you can check that out in the description. The link is there, and I look forward to meeting you in Rhinebeck this fall. And I am thrilled to be back at Kepler College for summer school. Every summer, I teach the only business course that I teach at Kepler College. And this class is Post and Prosper. It's about social media strategies for astrologers, but you don't have to be an astrologer. I like to call this class spiritual entrepreneurism, because that's really what it is. Whether you are an astrologer or you do another form of divination like tarot, or you work within healthcare or yoga, we have had so many different backgrounds join us, and every single one has found relevance in this course. This is the 6th year, I believe, that I'm going to be teaching this. So it is one of those staples, and I really look forward to it. Now, this course, the thing that makes it stand out is mentorship. Class sizes are small. This class always sells out, always. And just thank you for your enthusiasm for the class. But understand that this is a journey that we undertake, and a big part of it is regular interactions with me. There is a dedicated student area through Kepler College, and I check in every other day to see how you guys are doing. Whatever you're talking about, I participate. Any questions you have for me, whether by direct message or in the message boards, I am there to answer those questions as well. And it's an incredibly rewarding experience for me to be able to share all the different things that I've learned about the business of what I do. Being a full-time astrologer for almost 19 years now, so it's amazing how time really is one of those very powerful things. It just goes by, but so much is about what you do with it. And so my hope is that this class inspires you, but gives you real tools as well. And we go through so many different understandings of how to utilize social media to shine that much more brighter, whether it's the technical side, the energetic side, the astrological side, in terms of finding the best date to launch your channel or other accounts that you might have. But we also, of course, have 2 classes dedicated to how to put practical things into place so that you are moving towards greater abundance as well in real ways. So I'm here to guide you as part of that journey. And I know whomever it is that's drawn to this journey and comes together, it's an energy that we co-create together, and it always ends up being unique and special. I've literally had people take this course more than once, like twice. There have been 2 people who took this course 2 years in a row because they loved the experience so much. They loved the energy that was created, the support, but also that sense of motivation to really create a business that they love, that they feel aligns with spirit. I'd love to be a part of your journey in regards to this. And so if you'd like to learn more or sign up, check out the link in the description below, or check out the Kepler website as well. They've got all the info there. They're the ones who host it. I partner with them there. But what a wonderful experience, once again, to be part of such a renowned institute like Kepler College, a world-renowned institute at that, but also to facilitate your growth, your learning, your success, really is such a privilege for me as well. So you can learn more and sign up now, links below. And thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for this moment with you and your trust. I'm so grateful for all of it. Stay tuned for short horoscopes coming up right now. And remember, yes, there are going to be Saturn special horoscopes. They are in the works. They always end up taking more time than I anticipated. You'd think I would have learned by now, 19 years in the making. But yeah, I really appreciate your patience. And I hope once they are published, You absolutely love those horoscopes. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy. At the end of the week in the Americas, or at the very beginning of next week in the rest of the world, we have a massively important celestial event set to take place, and that is Saturn changing signs, moving into the sign of Aries for just a short stay. This isn't going to be a long time, but it is this dipping into this brand new part of the sky, moving out of the last sign of the zodiac and into the first sign of the zodiac. Well, it is set to feel like a brand new beginning. Now, ultimately, Saturn always invites us to consider how you alone are responsible for your own happiness, to identify what you can do, to focus in on that, and let go of the rest. It is this notion that when we do certain things, we earn our own self-respect. And a lot of us are at the beginning of a journey now that has to do with doing the thing that allows you to feel more in touch with your power and your truth, some sense of who you really are, even when it's hard, and especially when it's hard, acting from a place of taking ownership for our free will, whatever the extent or limitations of it we might judge it to be. Well, that is the pathway towards real growth and ultimately tangible manifestation. Now we get a bit of a glimpse into this energy that we'll dive into much more fully next year. But now is what matters, because now we get to see if we like the way in which the energy is going. And if we don't, we can recalibrate. But if we do, at least we know that we want to do even more of what it is that's going to get us to manifesting a life more fully that we love that much more. What Saturn means for you and your sign does depend on your sun, moon, and rising. Take all three into consideration, synthesize the information to make it unique to you. And of course, there are lots more horoscopes, deeper dives into Saturn over on my YouTube channel, Nadiya Shah, and over on the Superstar Space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com or thefutureismagical.com. Aries, who you know yourself to be, your identity, what matters to you most, what matters to you first. But this is also an incredibly significant energy in how it is that it will help you to understand what it is to take ownership for your own happiness, that you are the one responsible for your own happiness. These are the kinds of lessons that stay with you very often for the rest of your life. And I don't say that lightly. It's once every 28 years or so that you get a transit of Saturn moving through your sign, and it speaks to a period of about 3 years. And now here we are. We're getting a little bit of a taste of an energy you'll be diving into much more deeply once we get into next year. So embrace the possibility now. Pay attention now, and especially your divine discontent, because it is pointing the way towards where it is you're long overdue for some change, or where it is perhaps that practicing a deeper acceptance is going to help you to be that much stronger. Taurus, Saturn moving into the sign just before yours brings with it an inner restlessness. It's the only way to describe it. There's going to be a restless feeling within, and there's going to be the real opportunity here for you to tap into the power of understanding what's happening on levels of soul, psyche, and spirit. Now, many Taurians out there are just going to feel motivated to act. You want to put certain things into place. You want to take action. You don't know why, and you don't know what sense it makes, but you're feeling spurred towards it. And that's not a bad impulse to acknowledge. For others, though, it's going to feel like all this fear and stuff is stirring within, and you don't know where it came from, but that's where the opportunity is to heal some really deep fears that maybe you didn't fully acknowledge have been there and perhaps started for some very good reasons. And in that way, this cycle will help you to finally understand, forgive, put behind you what you no longer need to carry into your future, and connect very deeply to a knowing that you have so much more yet to do in this lifetime. Gemini, friendships, group dynamics, all of it is about to change. Now, ultimately, this is about being honest with yourself about the nature of certain relationships and connections. Where it is that friendships are true, are strong, they're going to feel that much more dedicated. that much more committed and that much more meaningful to you. But where it is that certain friendships have served their purpose, no matter what you do, they will find a way to exit, to morph in other directions. Now, professional group alliances. Whom is worth being around, working with, whom isn't, where it's worth gathering with others, where it isn't. That is also a big part of the self-honesty you are about to find. For some, there is value and real progress made by connecting with others, working within those groups. But for others, seeing the truth of what you give and what you get will have you deciding to go a whole other way. It's not that there's a right or wrong answer. It's about understanding who helps you to move forward in a practical way, who's good for you and who isn't. Those that are good for you, well, they're going to grow into alliances that are that much stronger. Cancer, career, social standing, life purpose. Now remember, Saturn is about manifestation, but sometimes the biggest rewards come on the other side of the transit, but oftentimes there's also real progress manifesting in real time because Saturn brings with it the opportunity to do the work, to put in the time. And it isn't just about career or purpose. It's about understanding where you're going in a higher sense and understanding what really matters and therefore what doesn't. You've got your eye on some prize, some goal that matters to you. And if it matters to you, it matters. But it's your actions that show you how much it actually matters or doesn't. Where you're willing to put in the time, put in the effort, you can make great gains. If not, earn certain accolades. Yes, it might feel a long time coming, but it is your energy, your focus, your sacrifice that makes you actually own your successes now and in the period ahead. Leo, long distance travel, immigration, citizenship, higher learning, and legal matters. Those are what come into focus when we have Saturn move into fellow fire sign Aries. We're able to tap into the energy that much more readily compared to other signs out there because this is Saturn in your own element. But for all that, it's about getting very serious about where it is that you've accepted certain things that should actually be an adventure, including life. Now, if it is that you are meant to be somewhere, literally or figuratively, well, it'll come together. This is where you make it that much more real. If you've wanted to relocate or take that trip, for example, this is where practical opportunity, but also your own planning has it come together. For others, though, it is going to be about understanding your role within an institute of higher learning if you really do want to pursue a higher degree. Now, more personally, this might have to do with understanding legal matters. Sometimes that can come about by having to participate in a legal matter, whether you like it or not. And this is a very consequential energy. You're not going to be able to get away with a whole lot here. However, where it is that it isn't necessarily about that being involved in a case, well, there could just be more fascination with things like politics and law and so on. Now, ultimately, this energy helps you to get honest about what you believe about the world, what you believe about where you're heading and the things you want to put into place that ultimately, certainly in the fullness of time, will help you to manifest even more. This is the time for the preparation of putting it into place so that you situate yourself that much better for the future. Virgo, profound change, truth, transformation, regeneration, and wealth. So what tends to happen in a very literal way is we tend to take on more financial responsibilities at this time. Saturn isn't necessarily bad, but Saturn makes things real. Where it is that you've been doing the right thing, meeting your responsibilities, especially where it comes to the kind of money that has to do with paying off loans and debt, well, this is where you're making the kind of progress that you can feel really good about. This is where you just might find yourself finally paying off certain debts or able to handle more responsibility in terms of having access to more resources. But outside of that, there are going to be lots of situations where it's not necessarily going to play out financially, but it has to do with you getting honest with yourself about what it is that has to change, what it is that must change, what it is that you're not okay having going the same way as it always has anymore. This is where you find a deeper level of truth and a determination to live it And really, that could have you working towards changing just about everything now. Libra, love, partnerships, one-on-one alliances. That's what comes into focus. And in one way or another, you've got to deal with other people. You've got to find a way to get along. Now, this could be business partnerships or professional alliances. It can feel frustrating or limiting having to get along with certain people, but where it is you see the benefits, well, you're willing to walk that path. Now, outside of that, though, I think many Libras are going to experience this energy in the context of love. And this is about getting very honest about where you are in love and how you feel about it. And the answers aren't always what you think. It is in that honesty that if it is that you are in an established relationship, if the relationship is good, the challenges might feel like they come from outside of you, but they help you to feel that much more committed and stronger. If that isn't necessarily the case, or if you're not sure, well, you're about to have experiences that will help you to decide. But what I've found is if you're in a relationship, it isn't normally the case that this is when the breakup happens, but this is where you double down. You try that much harder. And on the other side of it, that's when you decide whether or not this is something that's going to continue forward. And by the other side, I mean when the transit is over as part of the larger journey. Now, having said that, love, if you are open to love, understand that there will be someone there to help you to understand where you are in love and how you feel about it. If something doesn't work out with one person, as soon as you energetically have processed it and let it go, someone else will be there, because some of your most important learning will take place in the context of understanding what partnership is going to mean for you. Scorpio, your daily life, your work life, your clients, customers, coworkers, and your health. All of that comes into focus in a powerful way now. And it is in the workplace that you get to decide if you like where you are, if it's worth where it is you want to be day in and day out, how you go about doing your work. Do you want to be more rigid, more ritualized, or do you want to go another way and work towards something else? What's worth doing day in and day out and what isn't, whether that's professionally, personally, with your habits and otherwise. Now, this is also about understanding those key relationships with people you interact with every day, like the clients, customers, coworkers in your life. Whether it is that they are demanding, whether it is that those connections solidify, or whether it is that certain connections come to an end. Understand that this is all part of helping you to understand the environment you're in and if you like it or not. What tends to happen is more busyness, more stuff to get done. And where it comes to your health, it's about getting more serious about where it is you could be changing things, even slight things. Consistently doing them day in and day out can help you to move towards a stronger, better set of understanding of where you are in terms of taking the best of care of you. Sagittarius, romance, flirtation, what the heart wants, what's fun for you to do. Saturn gets you serious. Wherever it is that Saturn goes, helps you to get honest about where you are, but also where it is that there's work to be done. If it is that you are open to meeting someone new, well, this is where you're more actively putting yourself in places and situations where that becomes more likely. You take it on as a project in terms of connecting with new people now. Outside of that, though, it's also about being honest with yourself about where you want to enjoy your life more, where you've accepted certain things and they've become a little humdrum, if you will, and instead now you want to move towards balancing what the heart wants, what joy is for you, and what must get done. Others will get very serious about taking something that's been a passion for you and turning it into a opportunity that is entrepreneurial perhaps, but certainly at the forefront of more of what it is that's genuinely fun for you and what you really want to do next. Capricorn, home, the past, your living situation, your family of origin, your parents in particular, where that applies. Well, it's about setting a strong base, a strong foundation. And what tends to happen is people want to stay home, actually. There's something you want to get done, something you want to work on in your own time and space, or there's greater motivation to be with your family of origin, whether it's to heal those relationships or strengthen them, to realize the value of taking advantage of this time. Others will get more serious about actually establishing their living space and their home space, making it feel like a place that they can feel that much more steady in and that much more strong. Now, regardless, it is about feeling more at home within your body, within your skin. Whatever may need to happen externally is one thing, but there's also a dedication now to the inner job, and that will reap rewards as well. Aquarius, siblings, cousins, neighbors, and synchronicity, right? Being in the right place at the right time and meeting the right person. What do you have to do to actually put yourself in those situations? Well, that is going to be part of the consideration now. Your mind is likely a light, and there's a part of you that wants to bring structure to it so that you're focusing in on what you believe matters to you and the direction in which you desire to go. Working on these relationships with the types of people I just mentioned, well, you're going to get more opportunity to do just that. Spending time with these people ends up being an experience that can be enriching or stabilizing, but where it is that some of those relationships need work, well, those holes are going to be revealed, along with practical steps of how to heal so that those particular alliances with these siblings, cousins, neighbors in your life can grow that much stronger. It's about understanding that contrast between power and powerlessness, and surrender, allowing other people to walk the path that they need without necessarily taking it personally. Pisces, well, look, Saturn leaving your sign, I think, is the very big deal. You'll feel that shift of energy very quickly. Life just starts to feel lighter right away. So you get a little bit of a taste of it this year. But for all of that, we're also going to have Saturn enter into a part of the sky that has to do with money you earn, money you spend, self-love, and self-esteem. This is about walking a slow journey that's going to likely take you from one way of earning your money to another way that feels much more stable or much more secure or much more like what you're actually supposed to be doing. If you are caught up in something that ultimately isn't actually what you should be doing to earn your money, it just might feel like it doesn't work out, but something else very quickly does reveal itself. For all that, it is about also understanding what's worth acquiring, what possessions are worth holding on to, and what aren't. Now, others won't experience this financially. It'll have a lot more to do with healthy self-love, healthy self-esteem. You get busy doing the work towards healing so that self-love feels that much more natural for you, especially in the fullness of time. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.